Before start video, I request it to you, please subscribe my channel, also like, comment and share this video.
Educate and inform the whole mass of the people. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty. I know of no safe depository of the ultimate powers of the society but the people themselves, and if we think them not enlightened enough to exercise their control with a wholesome discretion, the remedy is not to take it from them but to inform their discretion. There is nothing more unequal than the equal treatment of unequal people. If a nation expects to be ignorant and free, in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be. To penetrate and dissipate these clouds of darkness, the general mind must be strengthened by education. Enlighten the people generally, and tyranny and oppressions of body and mind will vanish like evil spirits at the dawn of day. Bigotry is the disease of ignorance, of morbid minds, enthusiasm of the free and buoyant. Education and free discussion are the antidotes of both. To all of which is added a selection from the elementary schools of subjects of the most promising genius, whose parents are too poor to give them further education, to be carried at the public expense through the college and university. The object is to bring into action that mass of talents which lies buried in poverty in every country, for want of the means of development, and thus give activity to a mass of mind, which, in proportion to our population, shall be double or treble of what it is in most countries. Above all things I hope the education of the common people will be attended to, convinced that on their good sense we may rely with most security for the preservation of a due degree of liberty. If the children are untaught, their ignorance and vices will in future life cost us much dearer in their consequences than it would have done in their correction by a good education. Can the liberties of a nation be thought secure when we have removed their only firm basis, a conviction in the minds of the people that these liberties are the gift of God? That they are not to be violated but with His wrath? Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, that His justice cannot sleep forever. Convinced that the people are the only safe depositories of their own liberty, and that they are not safe unless enlightened to a certain degree, I have looked on our present state of liberty as a short-lived possession unless the mass of the people could be informed to a certain degree. Errors of opinion may be tolerated where reason is left free to combat it. Students of reading, writing and common arithmetic, Grecian Greek, Roman, English and American history should be rendered worthy to receive, and able to guard the sacred deposit of the rights and liberties of their fellow citizens. The functionaries of every government have propensities to command at will the liberty and property of their constituents. There is no safe deposit for these but with the people themselves, nor can they be safe with them without information. Where the press is free, and every man able to read, all is safe. It is our duty to pay especial attention to the principles of government which shall be inculcated therein, at the university, and to provide that none shall be inculcated which are incompatible with those on which the constitutions of this state, and of the United States were genuinely based, in the common opinion. And for this purpose it may be necessary to point out specially where these principles are to be found legitimately developed. I have been long sensible that while I was endeavoring to render our country the greatest of all services, that of regenerating the public education, and placing our rising generation on the level of our sister states, which they have proudly held heretofore, I was discharging the odious function of a physician pouring medicine down the throat of a patient insensible of needing it. No one more sincerely wishes the spread of information among mankind than I do, and none has greater confidence in its effect towards supporting free and good government. A system of general instruction, which shall reach every description of our citizens, from the richest to the poorest, as it was the earliest, so will it be the latest, of all the public concerns in which I shall permit myself to take an interest. People generally have more feeling for canals and roads than education. However, I hope we can advance them with equal pace. There are two subjects, indeed, which I shall claim a right to further as long as I breathe, the public education, and the subdivision of counties into wards. I consider the continuance of republican government as absolutely hanging on these two hooks. The truth is that the want of common education with us is not from our poverty, but from the want of an orderly system. More money is now paid for the education of a part than would be paid for that of the whole if systematically arranged. To instruct the mass of our citizens in these, their rights, interests and duties, as men and citizens, this brings us to the point at which are to commence the higher branches of education to develop the reasoning faculties of our youth, enlarge their minds, cultivate their morals, and instill into them the precepts of virtue and order. The objects of this primary education would be to form the statesmen, legislators, and judges, on whom public prosperity and individual happiness are so much to depend. Education is here placed among the articles of public care, not that it would be proposed to take its ordinary branches out of the hands of private enterprise, which manages so much better all the concerns to which it is equal, but a public institution can alone supply those sciences which, though rarely called for, are yet necessary to complete the circle, all the parts of which contribute to the improvement of the country, and some of them to its preservation.